Hi, my name is Jennifer Marshall, and I'm the executive director of a nonprofit organization called This Is My Brave. We are a platform of people who want to stand up and share their story of overcoming mental illness through poetry, music, and essay in a live stage production. But my story with mental illness starts about 10 years ago, and I had been in a great job. My husband and I have been married for 2 years, and the job was very stressful, but I handled it well up until a point where I couldn't sleep for about a week, and the not sleeping led to a manic episode, which resulted in racing thoughts and pressured speech and anxiety and all kinds of things. And so my husband had to have me hospitalized. And we then figured out, this is something we need to address and so forth. And I saw a therapist, but we hadn't ever dealt with it before. And I didn't have any history of mental health. So the psychiatrist let me stop taking the medicine. And I returned to work and shortly after that first hospitalization, and it happened again. So we realized at that point that it was a serious condition that we needed to learn about and educate ourselves, which we did. And from that point, I began on a journey where I had to learn to understand my illness and my triggers, and I was still so new to it that it was very tough. And I ended up having to quit that job because I needed to focus on my mental health, and I was very lucky we were in a situation where I could take some time off. And so I did, and I have had the support of my husband and my close family around me and my close friends. But I didn't really want to talk about it because of the stigma. So we made it through. I had a year of very severe depression and anxiety following my diagnosis of bipolar type 1. But I kept seeing my doctors. I kept seeing, getting other opinions, and until I finally agreed to try a medication that they had been urging me to try, which ended up being the right medication for me. And I stabilized and started to feel like my old self again, which was such a relief because my year of severe depression and anxiety was the hardest year of my life. And it was just, you had that feeling of it's never going to get better, and I'm always going to be depressed, and everything was so dark, and it was very, very hard. I even struggled right before I started to try that new medication with suicidal thoughts. And so it was a blessing to find that medication, and I stayed on it and then was stable for a year, and my husband and I decided to start a family. And it was at that point where I made the decision on my own to not, my doctor knew, but, tried not to be on the medication. And unfortunately, during those years when I was having my children, I had 2 other manic episodes that required hospitalization. And with mania and with bipolar type 1, each episode tends to get worse than the next. It's called the kindling effect that I've learned. But so the last one was pretty severe, and I'm very lucky that I respond well to medication, and so I was able each time to slowly get back on my recovery path. And since my last hospitalization, which was in April of 2010, when I was 5 weeks pregnant with my daughter, I have been very stable, and I'm committed to my treatment plan, which includes medication and therapy and regular visits with my psychiatrist. But also, I've changed my lifestyle. So something that has worked for me has been looking at my diet and my exercise plan and just being committed to having a healthy lifestyle. So, I drink a lot of water, and I like to do yoga, and also being aware of self-care, because I never really understood it until going through this illness and learning that it's a lifelong condition. Is important to know that, when you're stressed and when you're super, super busy and you're not taking care of yourself, those can be times that are, risky to your health and especially your mental health. And so I make sure to take, time out for myself at least once a day if I can. And just, even if it's just 15 minutes to go for a walk or, read a chapter of a book or paint my nails. I like to do manicures. So just little things that make you feel good about yourself. And so I just want everyone out there to know that recovery is possible, and living a healthy, successful life is possible despite mental illness, and you can get through it. You're not alone. There are so many people out there that are also going through these types of conditions, and look for people's stories. More and more people are being open about their conditions and talking about them to educate people, and we're everyday people, and we all deserve, to have a good life, and you can recover. Thank you so much.